Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. I'm trying to adjust the fan because the room that I'm in is extremely hot. So bear with me a quick minute. Otherwise, I'm going to be a cooked patty if we're not careful. Much better. All right. Sorry. Somebody said something. I'm letting people in. Hang on. I'm bad. I know. All right. Do you guys have questions?
Hi, Patty. How are you? I have a question.
Sure.
This is David. I want to make sure that I did this correctly. A couple recently not getting along in the unit. They both want to stay and the other one doesn't want to go either. So they went to court and the lady got a restriction order so that he doesn't come back. Now, the man yesterday came to me and said, I just want to get my clothes. I said, look, it's official now that we have a restriction order. I cannot let you in unless there's a police assistance involved here. So, because obviously I don't trust my manager or whatever. I want the police to be there when you get your clothes out. Now, does that mean that he can now be removed from that lease, or should I still wait until to see who stays and who goes? What should I do?
Okay. If he contacts you to get your things, his things, you need to tell him that he needs to have the police escort him just for his own sanity, because she could easily say that he's doing something wrong. And then if they show up and find him on the property, he could be arrested. So we want to make sure that we're protecting everybody in this scenario. Ask him. I'd be more than happy to help you. Are you going to give me notice that you're no longer living in the property and you have no further interest?
Okay.
That's
you answered my question. The next question I had last week, listening to your podcast, I saw that you said AB 1482 is now Civil Code 1946.6. Now, I know it's a civil code now. It doesn't mean that July 1st, this civil code is no longer valid, or what is going on? You didn't mention how long this is going to last, because I hear July 1st things will turn over, hopefully.
Okay, so now when you talk about AB 1482, also known as the Tenant Protection Act, also known as Civil Code 1946.6, I think it is. It's a new one for me, so I don't have it embedded yet. It all means the same thing. Okay? So as you and I started calling it AB 1482, what I'm trying to tell you is AB 1482 doesn't exist anymore. That was the assembly bill that amended the civil code. So it was just an assembly bill that amended a civil code, added a civil code to give us the statewide rent control. Now that it has its own civil code, it's not an assembly bill anymore.
Yeah, but is it going to go away July 1st? That's what I'm trying.
In place until the year 2030, sir. 10 years.
So 2030. So what is going to happen then in July 1st? Exactly.
July 1st, the state's law expires. The state's law is the one that gave landlords a little bit of a bump, if you will, stating that tenants that were participating in the federal funded programs had additional protections for 90 days because they needed 90 days in order to pay out all the landlords. So what the state law that currently governs us did simply said is it stopped landlords from doing evictions against tenants that had applications that were pending. What it did say is if they didn't have an application pending, then they had no protection. So what it did is it opened up areas so we could start doing evictions for non-payment of rent. When that goes away at the end of this month, then the state doesn't have any more laws in place regarding COVID, so to speak. And now the county moratoriums and the city moratoriums will kick back in.
Okay, I'm specifically talking about San Bernardino, which is not as strict as Los Angeles. But what I'm saying, starting July 1st, is it going to be possible to tell a tenant to leave for a cause without going to eviction. Is that going to be possible? Okay.
30-day notice, GTFO, owner wants their house back, bye-bye.
No, it's the apartment that, you know, they causing nuisance and,
If
or,
the
yeah,
Apartment causing a nuisance. So as simply as I could say this, we go back to before COVID on July 1st in San Bernardino County. What you need to remember is that you're governed by that Tenant Protection Act, the statewide rent control, the AB 1482, the California Civil Code 1946.6. It's all the same thing, but that's what governs you starting July 1st. So you have to have cause to terminate tenancy. Can you evict on a nuisance? Absolutely. For properties that aren't subject to the Tenant Protection Act, we should be able to go back to doing 30-day and 60-day notices that landlord wants their property back, and we don't have to give a reason or have a cause under properties that are exempt from the TPA.
okay, so TPA is really gonna last until 2030 for those places like LA County, San Diego County and all that, right?
Tenant Protection Act is statewide until 2030, when it will most likely become state law.
Okay, and what are those rights, the TPA, for example, in the whole state of California? What other things we have to watch out for?
You're limited on what you can increase the rent.
Okay,
This applies to anything that has more than one residential dwelling on a tax bill.
okay,
So multifamilies, duplexes, if the landlord doesn't live there, triplexes, you're limited on what you can increase the rent by. It's the CPI plus 5%. You must have cause to terminate tenancy. A tenant must, if they live there longer than 12 months and you want to terminate tenancy without cause, and cause being a breach of the lease or something of that effect. So if you want to terminate the tenancy to do a substantial remodel or have your children move in or something along those lines, you have to pay relocation fees. Relocation fees through the Tenant Protection Act are comparable to 1 month's rent.
thank you, Patty. You clarified everything and confusion. No more I have. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad I could do that for you. I have lots of confusion. Can we share? Okay, I'm kidding. All right, let me look and see what else we have going on. I saw some stuff. Patty, I was wondering if we could start rent increases July 1st for the city of Montebello and LA County. Do you know how much we would be able to increase? Gabby? Are you paying attention? June 30th, the state law expires, and then LA County's no eviction moratorium kicks back in on July 1st. And the rent increase freeze and all of that happened before the state law came along, all goes right back into effect again. So LA County, your moratorium currently reads you can only do evictions for a nuisance. Paying attention? And that's in effect until December 31st of this year. And they will most likely extend that through June of 2022. No, we're in 2022 now, right? Last 2 years have been a blur. Sorry, blonde. Till 2023. So as nicely as I could say this, in LA County, they are their no eviction moratorium, rent freeze, rent increase moratorium, all of that kicks back in on 7/1 and goes till the end of this year. The only thing that kind of put a buffer in there was that state law that came and offered those protections for tenants for 90 days and no protections for tenants that didn't have applications pending. That expires at the end of this month, next week. Then July 1st, the LA County moratorium kicks back in. And I hope everybody's paying attention when I say this. Do you guys remember in COVID, in the beginning of COVID, before they implemented an assembly bill or a Senate bill that governed the whole state, that all the little municipalities, you know, individual cities were coming up with their own rules about COVID. And I wanted to rip out my hair because I couldn't keep up with all of it. Make sense? You guys remember that? It was giant. Wah! That is going to happen on July 1st. Why? Because the state law is not controlling anyone. So all the little municipalities, the counties and the cities can come up with their own moratoriums regarding COVID. So we may go back to that in a very rapid fashion on July 1st. The entire county of LA is governed by the county moratorium. And we're seeing additional protections for tenants in San Diego County, San Diego City, especially. Other than that, we're not seeing anything in Riverside County, San Bernardino County, Ventura County, Kern County, Inyo County. Gabby, how do you think I feel? So here's how I keep track. Okay, Gabby, pay attention. In LA County, you could do nothing starting July 1st. You can't increase rents. You can't terminate tenancy. You can't. Okay. As far as San Diego County, they're hit and miss on where they're offering additional protections. I can tell you right now that the city of San Diego is becoming very similar to the city of Los Angeles as far as restrictions for landlords go. So keep that in mind. Okay. So San Diego, LA is where we're going to see the majority of that kind of stuff going on. The whole county's moratorium is so restrictive that I doubt we're going to see cities come up with their own moratoriums. And we'll figure it out as we go. But I don't foresee that San Bernardino County is going to have any additional restrictions moving forward. I think we're back to business as normal. I hope that helped you, Gabby. Hi, Patty. Can I raise the rent in Sherman Oaks? I did not raise the rent for 4 years and the tenant paid on time. I'd have to go look to see if Sherman, and I'll tell you this, I highly don't suggest it in LA County, and I'll tell you why. Okay. Technically, if you're in a city that's incorporated, then you may be able to increase the rent as long as the tenant was not affected by the pandemic. Remember, the word affected is a really big word that could be argued easily by your attorney or their attorney, because everybody has a different idea of affected. Make sense? So in the event you increase rents and the tenant was affected in LA County, they could file retaliatory issues against you. It's not worth it. This is how I look at it. You're going to do a $60 increase for the next till the end of the year when the moratorium's over. So what are we talking about? 6 months. Let's be honest. So 6 months at $60 a month. I'm not even going to make $600. Is it worth? Is it worth? Please hear me. Getting drugged through court, raked over the coals and all of that in a retaliatory lawsuit? Not for me. I won't touch it. Unincorporated cities in LA County, you absolutely cannot do a rent increase in the unincorporated cities. Okay, so unincorporated cities, LA County, no rent increases. Incorporated cities could, as long as the tenant wasn't affected by the pandemic. I don't write this stuff, I just try to translate it to you. So in my opinion, it's too risky to increase rents. I haven't done rent increases myself, not touching it, not going there. It's too risky for me. I don't want to stick my toe in that pond. The water's hot. Yeah. Can you sum up San Diego City for exempt and non-exempt properties? The city of San Diego has their own rules, just like the city of Los Angeles. And what I was saying is the city of San Diego is following the footsteps of the city of Los Angeles. As far as what they can do, what they can't do, it's very, very restrictive against landlords. Okay, so I'll say it like this, and please don't shoot the messenger, okay? During the pandemic, I learned that heavily populated areas come with heavy restrictions against landlords. What do I mean by that? Well, let's look at Southern California in general, okay? We saw huge restrictions and moratoriums in San Diego County and in LA County. Both of them are metropolises and have a very high tenant population. We did not see those types of restrictions in Riverside County, San Bernardino County, Kern County, Inyo County, Orange County, Ventura County. Are you guys following along? So what I learned during this pandemic, seriously, is that metropolises hate landlords. I mean, let's face it, we're the ones providing the service for half of their occupants of their county or their city or whatever, but we're the bad guy. I know, ludicrousness. But that's what I was saying about San Diego, is San Diego is following the suit of becoming the next city of Los Angeles. That's all I'm trying to say to you, okay? Hi, Patty, what will happen with evictions that were already filed? If it was already filed, then you're grandfathered in there. Don't worry about a thing, okay? I get the courts are taking forever. I get it. But don't worry about that. You should be grandfathered in with the fact that your case was filed before the state law expired and the moratorium kicked back in. So I don't see that as an issue. It's going to be very, very interesting in LA County going forward over what will be allowed and what will not be allowed once the moratorium kicks back in. Because if you guys remember, in LA County, you can't do evictions for, right now, for unauthorized occupants, unauthorized pets, or failure to allow entry. And it's been that way for quite some time during the COVID pandemic. I never thought in a million years that we as landlords would lose our rights. I mean, those are some pretty big, hefty rights. And we don't have a leg to stand on. And those judges are really pro-tenant there. Hang on. I have a tenant who moved in 2 months ago in Van Nuys, unincorporated. If he doesn't pay his rent after July 1st, can I still evict? I can't answer that. I can't answer that. I don't know. I'm being very honest with you. Our legal team sat together yesterday and had a brief meeting about how we were going to be moving forward. And there's going to be specifics that we're going to have to be asking you if you want to inquire about doing an eviction in LA County, just because it's so strict. And let's face it, you're looking at a $10,000 eviction. No joke. They're going to contest. They're going to ask for a trial by jury. They're going to fight you the whole way. It's going to cost you 10 grand to go through the legal process in LA County. No joke. So think about that when you're thinking about you want to evict. And remember, you guys, and I can't say this enough, we always have the cash for keys option, unless, of course, you're governed by a municipality that doesn't allow it. And I'll leave my statement at that. And if you know what I'm talking about, just smile with me. Because I'm specifically referring to Larso. And I don't like Larso. I get it, but I don't. Just like the whole, I can't even think of the name of what it was called, and I've been saying it for months. Housing is key. Housing is key will help you. Housing is key will help landlords. Oh, it's what's here to help landlords. Bullshit, it's a tenant-based program. No joke. And I mean, I got, sorry. The property manager was about to go away and the landlord was about to come out. Now I'm trying to bite my own tongue. Housing is Key was not designed or developed to help save landlords, help protect landlords. That was a facade. The reality is it was there to help tenants. It's a tenant-based program. They won't give you any information because it's a tenant-based program. Did they intentionally send some of the tenants the rents on these? I'm just saying. I know a tenant that got 60 grand. I know a tenant that got 88 grand. And then still holding the house hostage against the landlord. And all I hope is that they look really good in orange, because when you mess with federal funds, you mess with federal penitentiaries. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. I'm sorry, but I didn't hear. Come July 1st in LA County, did you say we cannot evict for a nuisance? You can evict for a nuisance. Not allowing entry isn't going to happen until after the first of the year, and landlord move-ins are also going to be extremely difficult. No joke. And that's me telling you, go knocking and talking. Offer them 10 grand to move out. You already know you're going to pay that in an eviction anyway to your attorney. So you pick. Remember, if you guys do cash for keys, you're getting the property back sooner. That's what you're paying for. So I have no doubt we're going to see a lot of cash for keys offerings come about. I have a feeling we're going to see a shift is about to happen. Okay. You guys have heard me talking about the changes coming. It's not a religious thing. This is a reality thing. If you look at the stock market and you look at the cost of living and you look at what we're making, I mean, gas is going up, food's going up, legal counsel's going up, but we're not making any more money. I'm not getting paid any more per hour, but everything's gone up ridiculously. Do you know that I spent $400 in the grocery store last night? $400. No words, okay? Nothing. I mean, I remember when you could buy a little jar of mustard like this, you know, with the squirt top on it, the French's mustard. You guys know what I'm talking about? It was like 89 cents. Do you know at the store last night, it was $2.69? Wow. Wow. For mustard.
The cash for keys still has to be approved by the city in LA County. Am I right? I mean, you cannot just do that.
Only if you're governed by Larso.
Yeah, it is. So is it a hard thing to do? I mean,
Larso requires that you apply for them, put the fund, apply for their application to terminate the tenancy, give the tenant notice, and then put the funds in an escrow account for them for their relocation fees. So yes, that's what Larso requires. Can you do cash for keys and bypass Larso? I wouldn't suggest it. It's there for a reason. It's so that they can keep controlling. And by the way, if you want to do that, Larso charges you like $800. And don't get me wrong, that was pre-COVID pricing. So it may have gone up. I haven't checked. Just to fill out their application for relocation fees. $800. You tell me that's not a tenant-based program. How come the tenant doesn't have to pay to get the money out of the escrow account? Just saying, it's not fair. All right, what else did I see? I saw something. Okay, we talked, you can always evict for a nuisance. I'm going to give you guys the 3 things I know you can evict for in LA County, even under moratoriums, okay? You can most likely always evict for a nuisance, depending on the severity of the nuisance. If somebody installed, I want to tell you this story, but I don't, because I don't know if this particular, no, we have to stop trying to do evictions for ridiculous reasons. Okay. And I know you guys aren't doing that, but I'm just saying, if your tenant is breaking the rules or causing a nuisance, that's one thing. But if they're just being irritating and what they're doing really isn't that bad, it's just the person that it's happening to is extremely offended. And I want to tell you a story, but I don't think it's in a position where I can. But I'm going to try. Okay. I'm going to try. have a property in a very restrictive city, like, West Hollywood, trying to do an eviction because the tenant above the tenant below installed a bird feeder on their balcony and it's dropping seeds on their balcony. And that is what we are trying to do an eviction for. Not in LA County, you guys got to be serious there, okay? Remember, if you're gonna spend $10,000 to do an eviction in LA County, you better have your ducks in a row and it better be good. Meaning your cause of action better be rock solid because they're gonna chew you up. They are very pro-tenant in LA right now, very pro-tenant. We have been approved to receive California COVID payment, which is more than the tenant owes. Not quite sure what to do with the balance. The tenant has moved out, by the way. Okay, we can talk about that. Any overages that you've received, honestly, need to go back to the state of California. No joke. How we allocate that to get back there is a whole nother conversation. Because you want to make sure that you're taking all the money that is owed to you. And when you could charge late fees, you're also charging late fees. You also want to make sure, because you're just going to put these funds on the tenant's account. So if there was damages and that were owed to the property, it would come out of there before any refund went to the state of California. Okay. And when you get that far, let me know. I would be more than happy to help direct you in the right manner. Because I just had somebody else that did something similar. And for those of you playing with housing is key right now, and when I say playing, that's exactly what I mean, where they're saying, oh, we'll go ahead and pay you these additional months, blah, blah, blah. Go ahead and submit us a new ledger. You are not required to do that past March. Understand? You were required to apply up until March. If you do anything for April, May, June, July, and going forward, that is because you want to, not because you have to. Please understand the difference. And I'll tell you right now, if you get so far down the road and then you decide, no, I'm evicting, I don't want that money, know for a fact that that program is then going to take the money and give it to your tenant so that they can pay you. They're not going to pay you. The tenant has moved out, by the way. Yes, call me Melanie when that gets a little tricky and I'll help walk you through it, okay? What if the tenant still owes past March? You mean like for April, May, and June? Because that's where we are right now. That's what I'm talking about. If the tenant owes for April, May, and June, you can start an eviction right now, if you haven't already, in LA County, because starting July 1st, you may not be able to, just saying. You want to start an eviction right away and move through the process. And how it was explained to me by the attorney was, if you receive payment for January, February, March, your notices for April, May, June, you can keep moving forward with your eviction. If the program says, we really want to pay you, you don't have to participate. Then they give that money to your tenant. It's up to them what they do with it. The chances of them paying you, but they're going to send that money to the tenant. Stop waiting for housing is key. Do not wait for them. Do not pass go. Go collect $200. We don't have to wait for housing is key. We don't have to prove the application status as long as your eviction is only asking for April, May, or June. You are required to participate in the program through March 30th, March 31st, I think. I don't know how many days are in the month of March. Don't shoot me, okay? I am human.
And this little blonde brain only holds so much information. So yeah, I hope that makes sense to you. I hope that is sinking in. And I'm not telling you to run like your hair's on fire. The sky's not falling, okay? I got to be very careful what I say. But it's going to be a little tricky in LA County moving forward in July. Okay, Diana, let's see what you're talking about. We have a car lease contract and it has the clause prevailing parties shall be responsible for No, that doesn't save you from a jury trial. It doesn't save you. Let me tell you how it saves you, okay? Let me explain. I'm a tenant, okay? And I'm pissed at my landlord. So I'm gonna walk into this attorney's office and I'm gonna talk to them. Hi, I'm a tenant. I have some things going on with my landlord. Do you have a written rental contract? Yes, I do. Can I see it, please? First thing an attorney does is flip to your attorney's fees clause to see how much money's in it for them. How do I know? I work in a law firm. Remember? Okay. So when your tenant goes to an attorney, the first thing they ask them for is a copy of their written contract. First thing they look for is their attorney's fees clause. If it says prevailing party to receive reasonable attorney's fees, costs, and expenses. Reasonable to who? Paying attention yet? So what we started doing is putting a capped dollar amount. You're only going to get $1,000 in attorney's fees. The reality is most attorneys in LA will still touch that. Most attorneys in LA will still touch one saying they're only going to get $500. And most attorneys in LA County, when it gets around each party's responsible for their own, that's when it gets a little bit more challenging for tenants. But that's about it. You have to remember, these are, how do I say this? Give me a minute. I'm searching in my filing cabinet for the words. And don't laugh at me. Sometimes the words are really simple by the time they come out of my mouth, but it's trying to change them. How do I say this? These tenant advocate groups are federally funded. So we pay for them, okay? We pay for them. Here's the next thing that I'm going to throw at you that you may not know. And if you already know, just smile because you learned it from me. I bet you dollars for donuts. When that tenant goes in there and says, okay, so we can do something, the attorney says, sure, just sign this retainer agreement and I'll represent you. It's only going to cost you whatever they charge him that day. Could be $100, could be nothing, could be $500. You never know. Just sign this piece of paper saying that I'm your attorney and we're on retainer. Oh, and if you read the fine print, you'll see that any money's awarded to you, we get 33 1/3% of. Wait a minute. They're a nonprofit. You and I pay for. And if we have to pay like relocation fees or come to a settlement agreement and we're basically paying in court to get our tenant to go away, you're going to get 1/3 of the money that I give to that tenant. You guys paying attention yet? Remember, my goal in this industry is to help keep you away from legal. It's to solve things without getting your attorney involved. And in the event it gets to the point where we need an attorney, at least I know where to ask, okay? My way of doing management is to stay out of litigation. It's costly, it's time consuming, and it's the most freaking expensive thing we have in this industry is litigation. Simply said. And when I kept telling you guys a few minutes ago that it's going to cost $10,000 in LA County, please know that's not a joke. Ask your attorney how much it costs if the tenant requests a trial by jury. Just ask them. And remember, it's your tenant's civil right to ask for that, because we as Americans allow everybody their fair day in court. Youch. They're using our own rules and laws against us. The demurs, the motions to quash, the ex parte hearings. They're all stalling tactics using legitimate reasons to buy time that have no basis in this case. Like, come on, a motion to quash, really? Some of the things that these tenant advocate groups are doing, they know what they're doing. And I'm going to be straightforward and transparent with you and honest with you. They are buying time and costing you, the landlord, as much money as possible. Because when you get sick and tired of being raked over the coals, having to pay your legal counsel, make the mortgage payment, and now the tenant I'll pay to make this all stop. I'll pay to make this all go away. That's what they're after. Because they get 33 1/3% of any money awarded to the tenant. Are you guys paying attention? Is this thing on? Do you guys get it yet? In the event you can do a cash for keys deal, depending on the city you're in, because stay out of Larso, okay? Do it. Avoid the legal process. Don't let my boss hear me, but seriously, come on, you guys. Legal is your last resort. Your first plan of action is to go with your quick wittiness and you're able to control a situation. That's what we're trying to do, is focus on good management so that we don't have to get into legal. Legal is expensive and it's time consuming. And quite frankly, I don't like it. But it is what it is, you know, it pays my bills. All right, anybody have more questions? Did anybody catch the AGLA webinar yesterday? I'm just curious. Let me know if you caught the AGLA webinar yesterday. It was good. Just teaching people some tricks on keeping your tenants as your friends or leading them to believe that they're your friends, kind of thing. That kind of stuff.
So Patty, if someone is not paying rent in LA County, it's better to evict now for non-payment than waiting after July, right?
Oh, David, I'm so glad you said that because I can't.
I mean,
I'm
July
so
1st
glad
hasn't come.
you said that, David, because I can't. Maybe you should repeat it again.
I said, if someone is not paying his rent and you have the last opportunity to evict them before July 1st, should we do it now? Okay.
July 1st, my understanding is LA County will go back to, we can only do evictions based on a nuisance. So your window of time is expiring rather quickly. You guys, I can't say the sky's falling, run like a chicken with your head cut off. I'm a real estate broker, okay? But that's the way I see it. Thank you, David. Sometimes I can't say how it's written on the wall. David seemed to interpret that as we need to do something right now, and I tend to agree with him. Either that or get out your cash for keys skills. And in LA County, I'm going to say this as nicely as I can. I wouldn't worry about putting it in writing because it's unenforceable in a court of law. Wait, what did Patty just say? For years, we've done cash for keys agreements, and if the tenants don't vacate, we can evict them, except in LA County. So you need to make the cash for keys agreement actually work. So be nice as pie. And then you make it as a trade. You show up on the day they're supposed to be out. If they're handing you keys to a vacant unit, nobody's inside, then you hand them the check. It is a trade. If they need a couple thousand just to get out, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I can't give you a dime until the unit's vacant. Okay, everybody paying attention? I have no doubt in my little blonde brain on what they're trying to do in LA County makes me start to think that maybe I have them figured out. I mean, remember earlier this year when they tried to pass a law saying that if we wanted to sell as landlords, we had to offer it to tenant advocate groups before we offered it to the general public? Remember that? That law didn't pass because they can't control who we sell to. But it kind of tells you the story they're trying to write, correct? Then to not allow evictions in LA County while they don't allow any relief for landlords makes me start to believe that they want my property in LA County. Definitely something to think about, folks. I mean, not on what may happen, but what's actually happening. We're finding it extremely difficult. Yeah, it's coming, you guys. We can't keep paying $80 for a sheet of plywood, $20 for a 2x4. I had to do a board up so a squatter wouldn't get into a property. When I got the bill, I about threw up in my mouth. It was ridiculous. And then I had to remind myself, it's $80 for one sheet of plywood to make sense. Again, the price of everything is going up. Food, gasoline, wood. You guys know, I don't have to tell you, you go shopping, you have to put clothes on your back, you know? The mustard is the one that blew me away. I mean, that's been like 59 cents for decades in my mind. And to see it go up to $2.80, I think it was, I was appalled. And then I realized it's everything except our wages. Everything is going up except our wages. This can't continue. And if you think for a hot minute, everybody's going to just pay us more money, we're not reading the same book. Make sense? Everybody paying attention? The way that this nation, not the state of California, the nation is going, we can't keep up with it, you guys. I get it. There's inflation. We're charging more for things. We're paying more for things, but we're not making any more money. At some point, it's going to break. And when that breaks, she called it the Great Reset. I don't know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen, but I'm telling you guys, I'm seeing 2006 and 2007 as far as real property is concerned. How could you not evict for non-payment in incorporated cities of LA County after July 1st is so wrong. It's the whole county of LA that has the nuisance only moratorium. And I don't know what's going to happen with rents in LA County going forward. Like I said, we had a little bit of a meeting yesterday and we're going to have a big powwow probably the first part of next week. I hate to sit here and not have an answer for you guys, but the reality is I don't. You know, and then you hear some of the law firms saying, oh, we're not taking any cases in LA City. You're not taking any cases in LA City? I asked another law firm. They said, oh, no. Who's helping those people? Who's helping those landlords? What? I can't hear you. I know, I feel it too, you guys. I feel it. Trust me, I feel it. You have no idea. I want to see if Erica's in. She was going to talk about something today, and I don't see her. She's actually personally attacking the city's ordinance regarding what happened to her and what was allowed to happen because of the city. She's going to write some letters and send some things to the proper people, letting her know that she's just fed up and disgusted with what's happened within her city and how her investment property has been held hostage against her. And I mean, that's the best way we could describe it, right? I never thought in a million years the land of the free, because of the brave, would have the government come into our house, take our contract, eliminate our late fees, remove when our rent's due. I mean, it's just been ludicrous what's been going on all over a virus that we don't have to wear masks for at all, but there's another wave coming through and people are getting sick again, but we're not having masked up yet. And if that starts, it'll probably start in LA County first. If it hasn't already, I don't know. I hope not, because a lot of us did some mask burnings. Okay. Can you evict for non-payment of utilities in San Diego City? Most likely no, because of COVID. Remember, San Diego City is starting to run like City of Los Angeles, and they are extremely protective over their tenants there, just like LA. That was cool. My background didn't show my cup, and then it looked like I was drinking from the ocean. That was awesome. Can we give a 3-day notice? Hang on, I gotta open that so I can read it. Can we give a 3-day notice for non-payment of rent in LA County after July 2nd? I can't answer that. I don't know. I don't believe we're going to be able to. I don't know. I do know that starting July 1st, there will be new verbiage on a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit. I can guarantee you that. That I have seen the gist of it come about, but I don't know if we'll be able to do 3 days for non-payment of rent yet. I don't know. Like I said, we're gonna be having a big powwow with our entire legal team, probably the end of this week or the beginning of next week. So by next Wednesday, I should be able to answer these questions better for you. But please remember, again, I don't know. I can't answer that. And it makes me frustrated because if we can't do evictions for non-payment of rent going forward in LA County, what relief is there for us as landlords? Oh, mortgage assistance? How many months is that going to take? Because you're a tenant-based program, right? I got questions for some of these programs, I'll tell you. But most of the people that worked at these programs at the end of this month don't have a job anymore. All right, does anybody have anything else? If you do, it's good. If you don't, it's fine. So in other counties outside of LA and outside of San Diego, we should be completely back to normal with the exception of a new 3-day notice starting July 1st. And we should be back to business as normal. We may have a couple of municipalities in San Bernardino County and Orange County that offer additional protections to tenants. But other than that, I see it as being unlikely. Like Orange County, let me give you guys an example. Orange County is Santa Ana. Santa Ana implemented their own rent control ordinance, the city of Santa Ana. It's in Orange County. Okay, so in some really heavily populated tenant populations, we may see additional protections come out through moratoriums issued by municipalities. Moratorium means a temporary law. Municipality is the city or county that governs you. So with that being said, we may see a few of those here and there. I don't think we're going to see a large abundance of them, with the exceptions of San Diego and LA. I mean, hey. All right, you guys, have a wonderful weekend. I am going away for the weekend. I am headed to the Sierras for the weekend. Yay! My sister's a forest ranger up there and we're going camping with the family this weekend. So it should be beautiful. I'll make sure I post pictures for you guys. All right, if you guys need nothing else, have a great week. When does the LA County moratorium end? Gabby, it is currently set to expire on December 31st of this year. However, there is much talk of it being extended through the month of June of next year. That way it would be 1 full year after the pandemic period has been removed. Okay, so, ouch. All right, if you guys need anything, feel free to give me a call. Have a great week, a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys next Wednesday. Bye.